Hello, and welcome to the Infinite Love Podcast. This is a place where we share how love can transform negative emotions and pain into strength. We talk about all things related to love, positivity, and kindness. And I am your host, Corinne Camara. Welcome to episode 9, From Joint Pain to Purpose. Today, we are speaking to Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer. She is passionate about combining science and spirituality to help women release joint pain by naturally letting go of inflammatory foods, thoughts, and feelings so that they can become the most magnificent version of themselves. Her personal experience of overcoming crippling rheumatoid arthritis using natural solutions inspired her to leave a nearly 30-year career in engineering and become a functional medicine certified health coach. Hogan is the creator of Wonderful Fine, an anti inflammatory living membership program, helping women activate optimal health by intentionally designing a life based on what their own body needs. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about her story, miracles, and living a life with purpose. And let's get into today's episode. Welcome, Jane, to the Infinite Love podcast. Thank you so much for attending. I'm so excited to learn more about you and your work. Thank you for being here today. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful, Queen. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So, we all would love to know your story. And of course, please let us know what your love lesson is. And the love lesson is essentially a situation in your life that brought you to your knees where you really felt like you had to have an inner transformation. And in that experience, you were able to take that story and help yourself and help others.
Well, I feel like it really, things really changed for me in 2016. And that was when I had come through a very stressful year in my life. And I just turned 50, felt fabulous. And then about a month later, I was racked with joint pain. So I had this like
Oh,
migrating
wow.
joint pain going all through my body. And I felt almost like someone had like a voodoo doll or something. They were sticking pins in me because it would
Hmm.
be like, it's today it's my left shoulder. And tomorrow, the next day it was my right elbow. And it was very quickly went from being this migrating pain, and then got worse and worse and worse to the point where I could hardly walk. And then I couldn't really almost look after myself. So I was very afraid that I was going to be disabled and unable to look after myself. And the freedom years are coming up. My husband and I, our 3 beautiful children, were just grown up, and we had the last one leave the nest. So we were coming up to our freedom years, and I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to be free in my freedom years, and my husband was going to be stuck with me, which is not a very good way to think about yourself. But that's how it was.
Right.
Just a very bad place to be, and very scary place to be. And I
Hmm.
didn't know what was going on with me. It later got diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis, but at that point I didn't know what it was.
Wow. And did you have any symptoms before that?
Well, when I look back on it, I mean, I had some, tendonitis and things like that over the years, or bad back or sore neck.
Hmm.
But I never really thought this is an illness. I just thought it was an injury or that kind of
Hmm.
thing. But I guess looking back on it, a tendency towards joint pain was probably there for a long time. But this was so quick. Like it was from my birthday was in February. By the end of March, I had this migrating pain going on. And by July, I could hardly walk.
Whoa,
So it
that
was
is
very
fast.
quick. Yeah, it was, and I had this like a lot of inflammation. My knees, I had these like golf ball sized inflamed balls on my knees, and it just hurt. Like it just hurt so much to walk. So yeah, it came on really, really quickly.
Wow. And so what did you do to start healing? Like, what was your process?
I think, you talked about that love moment,
Yeah.
and I look back on it and I think this is where that moment happened. And I remember because the only way I could get any relief was I would just lie in the bathtub for
Mm,
hours and I just keep turning on the hot water, turn on the hot water. And I remember thinking, is this can't be what my life has come to. Like,
mm,
I really believe that we all have a purpose.
right.
And I thought, I'm not going to be able to do anything like this can't be it. And I think I just made this decision, as weak as I was then. I made a decision that I was going to fix this. I had to
Mhm,
figure it out. I had to do everything in my power to figure it out, not just for me but for my husband, because his freedom was tied to my freedom. And I wanted to show my kids resiliency and how you just don't take things that come to you. Try to do something about it. We always have a choice in how we respond,
yeah.
and loving myself enough eh, to do something about it. So that was my moment, I think, where I was just like,
Yeah.
I have to figure this out. And as you said, I'm an engineer as well, so problem solving kind of came to me naturally.
Right. So you made I mean, I think that's like the number one thing is to have that conviction and to make that decision that I'm going to find a way to be well and I'm going to do whatever it takes until I get to a place where I
Yeah.
feel healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of Hal Elrod and his miracle equation, where he talks
No.
about, yeah, a miracle. So I wrote an article about this called "How Math Helped Me Heal," and it's, you have unwavering faith
Hmm.
and plus extraordinary effort, and that
Hmm.
gives you a miracle. Like, a lot of people have called me a miracle. You're a miracle. You've got rheumatoid arthritis. I've never taken medication, and now I still have a teeny bit of inflammation, but I don't have any pain. And as long as I follow my protocols that I know work for me and listen
Hmm.
to my body. But yeah, so that's a miracle. So unwavering faith. So believe
Yes.
that it can be solved, and
Yes.
extraordinary effort, which means you don't stop until you get the solution. And that's a
Hmm.
miracle.
That
So
is a miracle. And I
it
agree.
really is as simple as those two things. Now there's a lot that goes
It's,
along with it, but comes
yeah, it's
comes down to
simple. It's simple in words, but it's much more difficult in action, just saying that, especially that unwavering positive faith and just moving
yeah.
forward, even if everything is stacked up against you, just still knowing and still moving and still going forward, I think is
Yeah.
very
Well,
so important.
yeah, what I did in the beginning was I started, of course, we all go to Dr. Google, right, and start doing
Hmm.
some research. And I
Yeah,
found stories of people who had healed naturally. It's like, okay, this person's done it. This person's done it. That person's done it. I
I
can
can
do
do it.
this too. So and that's part of why I'm so passionate about talking about what's happened to me, because I want to show other people what's possible. If I can share what I did, then it gives other people hope that they
Right.
can do it. So that's just, I could sit home and just do my own little thing, but I just decided, I feel like this came into my life for a reason.
Hmm.
And uh, my reason now is to give other people hope. And
Right.
so that's what I do. It's like, okay, every day I wake up, I can't wait. I'm so excited because I get
Hmm.
the opportunity to give other people hope.
Yes, and it's so important. So you went immediately into the alternative holistic route since you never took medication.
Yeah. So, so I mentioned in the beginning, I wasn't diagnosed, but I could hardly walk and have all this inflammation and pain going on. So my doctor made an appointment for me to see, like, referred me out to a rheumatologist. But
Hmm.
in Newfoundland, it takes a long time to see a rheumatologist. I had about a 6 month wait.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the meantime, she said, well, sometimes food can be related to joint pain. And I thought that was crazy. Like, I just thought there's no way food can
Mm-hmm.
be related to pain in your
Mm-hmm.
joints.
Right.
But I was really so desperate. I really didn't know what to do. So I started looking at food, and that got me started. So I had a really quick like drop in pain when I made some changes. And that got me looking, researching. I ordered books, I listened to podcasts, and I just kept on going from there. And it was like, okay, food is a good starting point.
Yeah.
And then there's, okay, I need more sleep. Okay, I need
Mm-hmm.
to cut down on stress. And so all it built on all these other things. I need to get out and move. I need to have positive relationships and positive people around me. And
Yeah.
then I learned about mindset and how
Mm-hmm.
important your mind can actually change how you physically respond.
Right.
So I found that super interesting. And then it led me to functional medicine, which I
Mm-hmm.
really love because functional medicine, it's a different style of medicine that looks at the whole person. And so when we say the whole person, it's not just the physical body either, it's the mind, body, spirit. And it also looks at dealing with root causes of illness instead of treating symptoms. And that
Right.
was important to me. Like, it just made sense to me to
Mm-hmm.
get to root causes. It's kind of like, if you have a rock in your shoe, you could put some padding in there, wear thicker socks, you could take some painkillers or something so you don't feel it, but it just makes more sense to take the rock out of the shoe, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So
what was
that's
no, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Okay. I was just wondering, like, are there any things, I know it's best to work with a person like a functional medicine coach like you, um, professionally, but what are like tips that you would give people that are going through rheumatoid arthritis, or they think they have something, some kind of joint pain? Like, what's a step that they can do to help get them in the direction of healing?
Mm. Well, I really realized, even though for me, I started with food, I did know that this came on after a very stressful year. So
Hmm.
I knew that it was directly related to stress. And all the studying and all the research that I've done since then, I know that stress is probably a bigger impact. Like, when you get stressed, then other things kind of start to not work so
Right.
well. Digestion doesn't work so well. Your immune system doesn't work so well. All these other things. So really getting stress under control is is a really important starting point. So stress, sometimes we can't remove the stress, but what we can do is change how we feel about the stress or how we respond to the stress.
Right.
So one of the things that I do is, like, it's just so simple, Green, just changing how you breathe.
Mm. Right.
So learning to how to belly breathe again and taking these deep
Mhm.
breaths where you just focus on your breath and try to give your brain a little break from thinking about anything else. So that's a great place to start, just with the breath, because we're doing it anyway, and you can
Right.
take it with you. It's very portable. You can do it anytime and anywhere. So, and even little kids, you can teach little people or old people how to do proper breathing to really bring stress down.
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one thing I tell people is to breathe, because when we're stressed, it's like all in the chest, and we're
Yes.
not we're not breathing in our body. Like, all our cells need to breathe as well. It's not just the lungs, our whole body needs to breathe,
Yeah.
and being able to really feel that within your body, it makes such a big difference, and it really does help to
Mm,
calm the nervous system down. I teach a lot of my
it
clients
does.
different breath techniques, and I use them myself even. And it's so fast, actually. I find, like, if
It
I'm
is.
feeling anxious, I could do a few breaths and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
know.
can change your whole mindset very quickly from breathing differently. So I'm so happy you said that.
Yes, I know a lot of
Eh,
people don't realize that they've got dysfunctional breathing, because who would say you're breathing wrong? Like, it doesn't sound like that makes sense, but really a lot of us are chest breathers from poor
mhm,
posture or whatever,
mhm.
or maybe we're rapid breathers from like anxiety and that kind of thing, or uh, just not breathing deeply enough, and that sometimes happens when people are in a lot of pain. So there's a lot
Right.
of people don't realize that their breathing is actually maybe even adding to their unwellness.
Absolutely. They're breathing, and also, but food is a very, very important aspect to it.
Yeah.
And it's also the mindset. Absolutely. I think all those three, there's so many components to being healthy. It's like the mindset, the breathing, the food, the movement, the love, the
Rel
emotional wellness.
Yes, I know.
It's a full-time job.
It is. Well, but it's so beautiful, really, that all of those
Mhm.
things can work together. And they
Yes.
have to work together. They have to work together. But it starts with the person. It starts with
Mhm.
you individually, and and loving yourself enough to know that you're worth the effort.
Yes, I think that's where it's so important to start looking at how you feel about yourself and changing your attitude about your body.
Mm.
Absolutely. So, what were some of the aha moments on your journey towards wellness that really inspired you to be like, okay, I want to share this with the world?
Okay. Well, I think the first one I would have to be that food and eating quality food matters. So, we are made up of cells, and our cells are turning over all the time. Like there's,
Mhm.
I think, millions or billions every day that are being turned over, and cells are built from our food. So we really need to think about quality food, and quality food means things that don't come from a box, and things that aren't sprayed with chemicals. Chemicals can really be harmful to us. So I think, quality food, and it doesn't have to be complicated, right? A lot of people think, oh,
Right.
it's so complicated, do this diet or that diet. Like, just eat real food. Start there. You'll feel so much better. And drink water too.
Right.
So there's that. Another big aha moment for me was a total shift in thinking about the illness as, instead of it happening to me, that it's
Mm.
happening for me.
For me. Hmm.
And that was a total shift. That's the work of Byron Katie. You've probably heard of her. And
No,
that's her
who's
big
she?
thing. Oh, yeah, she does all this work on helping people overcome all kinds of things. But that's one of her things, is it's like it's happening for me.
For you.
So if I'm seeing
Hmm.
this as happening for me, it totally changes everything. Now
Yeah.
it's okay. My body is giving me signals. These are for me. This has
Hmm.
happened for me to pay attention, for me to learn something. So that's a total shift, and that made a
Right.
huge difference. And then I think another big thing for me was realizing um, that a lot of this, it sounds funny, but a lot of illnesses have emotions associated with them.
Right.
But knowing that there was an emotion associated with this, and it was really an emotion that I carried with me my whole life, different emotions that I carried with me my whole life that came right back to childhood, and
Mm.
understanding that I needed to shift the emotions, and shifting the emotions shifts the illness physically in your body as well. So that's pretty huge.
That is very huge. That is huge. And it's interesting that you were saying that things happen for me, because I feel like a lot of times when you're sick, you fall into that victim mode where you feel a
Yes.
total victim to life and you feel like this is happening, the life's against me. And
Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to switch your mindset away from that victim mentality into the survivor, into like this is a positive
Mhm.
thing that's happening to me. It's giving me the
Yeah.
opportunity to look at my childhood. It's giving me an opportunity to heal. It's giving me an opportunity to move forward. But that's such a difficult space. Like what are things that you do with your clients to help shift them, to help them see like there's a different way of looking at this?
I think, well, one thing I do is work around swapping those thoughts. I think autoimmune disease, especially, it said, "Oh, your immune system is attacking you," and that's so wrong. So
Yeah.
one of the things I do is talk about how our immune system is confused and it needs our help.
Hmm.
Our body is calling out to us saying it needs help. So I think changing that, like that's such a shift in perspective because it's almost like thinking about your body as like a little child, like needs my help. Would you
Right.
ever say, "Stop that," "Stop attacking me," or "No, I'm not helping you. Why you wouldn't do that, right? Or your best friend. So thinking about it as needing your help, almost like being we talk about this a lot, like being the observer. So
Mm-hmm.
being the observer, like of what's going on. Okay, this is my physical body. This is what's
Right.
happening, and it needs my help. And so that's a really good starting point. So I think I educate my clients on what's really going on and why it is that the immune system is confused if they've got joint pain, and or why the inflammation is happening because the immune system has gotten triggered and needs our help. So I
Yeah.
think that perspective really helps, just changing it up and knowing, I think, that there's wisdom in our bodies, that our body wants to return to
Hmm.
homeostasis. That's the natural state.
Of course. Yeah.
So we need to just allow that to happen. So
Hmm.
we need to give it what it needs to allow that to happen. So it's not like we're going in and fixing stuff. We are providing the environment for it to happen, because really, I don't know how much you talk about the epigenetics and things like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, so our genes, more than 98% of our genes switch on and off in response to the environment, and the environment is the food, the thoughts, the feelings, the air we breathe, what touches our skin.
Hmm.
All those are all parts of the environment. So we need to provide the right environment so the genes for illness switch off again and the
Right.
genes for wellness switch on. So it's
Right.
about providing an environment.
Hmm. Absolutely. And it's interesting because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I have this because my dad had this or my mom had
Yeah.
this." And they just hold on to this idea that, "Oh, I'm going to get the same illness." And I always have to educate people and say, "No, you don't. Like you don't have to turn those genes on. You can turn them off by lifestyle changes. Like you're not destined to have the same illness that your parents died from. You will if you do the same things they did, but you can make a
Yeah.
different choice. Like you can choose to eat differently, you can choose to exercise, you can choose to change your
Mhm.
mindset. Like those are things
Yeah.
that are within your ability to change. It's not a done deal because it's in your genes.
Right, absolutely. Because it just doesn't have to happen. We just need to change it. Now, you're right that we need to make the lifestyle changes, because if we don't make the lifestyle changes, then the environment that caused those genes to turn on, well, that environment is still there. So you need to
Right.
change that environment, make those lifestyle changes. But yeah, I think educating people, and that's a paradigm shift as well, because we've had, I mean, a lot of people even go to their doctors with their illness and they'll say, "There's nothing you can do about it."
The
And
doctors will say that.
yes, yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, and we've been brought up and conditioned to believe that they know best, but really we have so much wisdom within ourselves,
Hmm.
and no one knows no one knows your body better than you do, and how you're
Absolutely.
responding to stuff. So I think the other big thing is teaching people how to listen to their body, and lots of times just paying attention, right? It's just
Hmm.
awareness and paying attention, and keeping good records helps as well, because we
True.
forget.
Yeah, that's true. And also doctors don't know everything. I think that's what people also have to realize. They don't learn a lot of nutrition. They don't know a lot about holistic medicine. They just are taught what they're taught. And I think that's important for people to realize that there's so many different perspectives out there and to constantly look for
Yeah.
someone that is resonating with you and that also believes you. I think,
Yeah.
your point is so true. Like no one knows our body like ourselves, and I find it very disheartening when I go to someone and they try to tell me how my body is supposed to react or how I feel. I'm like, that's not how I feel. And you really have
Mhm.
to have a strong conviction and feel empowered in yourself that you can be your own advocate and be like, no, this is what's happening. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
crazy. This is what's happening. And
Yeah.
find someone that believes you.
It's hard for people when, as I said, we've all been brought up with, you listen to that person.
Hmm.
But I think it's changing. I think people are learning
It
now
is.
that to listen to themselves. And it's really great that a lot of doctors are using more tools in their toolbox as well. They're
Yes,
not just relying on medications. Not, I mean, there's a place for medications, but there's
of
other stuff
course.
as
Yeah.
well, right?
Right.
And there's while taking medications, you can be doing these other things that are going to help provide the right environment.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much. What I love about this, Kareen, is that people can become empowered instead of feeling
Right.
like a victim. They can be
Mm-hmm.
empowered and create their own healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I love functional medicine because it brings in a different perspective. Even if you go to an MD, it's nice to go to a functional medicine MD because I feel
Yeah.
like they offer a different, more holistic approach. And oftentimes they're more open for you to seek out other supportive therapies as well.
Mhm. And I think for me, when all this started for me, there wasn't as much talk about the microbiome and all that, but now there's a
Hmm.
lot more. I
Yeah.
know I'm in the space, so I do hear it more, but I think in general,
Hmm.
people are generally aware of, that term microbiome now and know how
Yeah.
important that is for health.
Hmm.
And so, paying attention to those things and knowing that there's a lot of different things affecting that microbiome. And it's not
Hmm.
just a matter of take a probiotic and that'll solve all your
Right.
problems. 'Cause that's the old style of thinking, right? That the solution's outside of you when really the solution's inside of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so let's get into some of the infinite love questions.
Okay.
So, how do you use love in your work?
Oh my goodness. I think it all starts with love, really. Um, and a lot of times, I believe it has to start with self love because when you love yourself, you can spread that love out to other people. But for a lot of people, they've been, especially women who give, 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 they almost need to start with, well, if I need to do this for other people in my family. I need to do this like I was. I need to look after me for my husband. I need to look after me for my kids. And that
Mhm.
that motivated me a little bit more in the beginning than if I said, I need to look after me for me. So, but I had to start really talking to myself a lot differently. And in fact, well, but part of what made it a stressful year for me leading up to it was that my mother had died suddenly and we were really
Oh,
close. We were really like best friends. And she was my champion. And after she was gone, it was like, who's my champion now? And I was like, Jane, you got to be your own champion. So I love affirmation. So I started actually like talking to myself as if my mother would talk to me.
wow.
And so that was from a very loving place. And it seemed kind of silly in the beginning, but then it got to be a really fun and beautiful thing. I still love it now.
Nice. Great. And how do you feel that your work is used to uplift humanity?
Every morning when I wake up, I think I am so thankful for this day. I get an opportunity today to try to help other people become empowered in their health and in their life. It's like it's not just your health, it's your whole life. And that's really what's motivating me. And I started off saying if I changed one person's life, then it was all worthwhile. And now it's been many, many more than that. And I'm just so grateful for that opportunity. And I want to do so much more.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And what does it mean for you to be a positive force of goodness in the world?
Ooh, positive force of goodness. What it feels like for me is that it's on purpose. It
Mm,
feels right from the soul. It feels like the right thing.
yeah, like you found your purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And it
Nice.
kind of made everything make sense.
Your whole life?
And yeah, and like I wouldn't have gotten to this point
Mhm,
if RA didn't come along and all these things.
mhm.
So yeah, it's given me my purpose.
Aw. So what do you love most about your life?
What do I love most about my life? I think that feeling of the freedom that goes along with knowing that this is my choice and this is what I want to do, and that I get to do this. I
Hmm.
get to choose to do this every single day, and I love doing it.
Nice. And how do you feel that you receive love?
How do I feel that I receive love? I think receiving love is being open to it. And I think if you feel that love yourself for yourself, it's just like attracts like.
Hmm. I
So
agree.
being loving myself, it's kind of like it doesn't really matter what else is out there, but as I love myself, I feel more love coming at me. And you focus on it and it just feels like it's growing, growing, growing.
Yeah. And when do you feel the most love?
When do I feel the most love? I feel the most love when I'm focused on that, when I'm focused on what I'm grateful for in my life,
Mhm.
and taking the time to acknowledge that. And I do that every morning. I have a really solid morning routine
Oh, you do?
where
Nice.
I love it. Yeah, I do. I do meditation, I do the visualizations and affirmations and yoga. And right after yoga, I take some time. Actually, my husband and I do this together, and we talk about what we're grateful for. Things like our loving relationships and our health and well-being, and meaningful work that we love, and having time and money freedom. So we talk about this every day, and we're thankful for it every day. And
Mm.
so when I'm in those mornings like that, I'm
Yeah.
just so pumped up and revved up. Now, as day goes on, it gets busy, and I have to kind of bring myself back to it sometimes if I remember, try to
Yeah.
remember. But the mornings, that's when I really feel it because I'm focused on it.
Right.
So I think really anytime you focus on it, you're going to feel it. So
True.
you need to take the time to think about it.
And last question is, where has love created a miracle in your life?
well, well, I'd have to say my three children, um, but uh, but also I think this, people say, "Oh, you're a miracle because I healed." Um, I really, well, I feel like anyone could have a miracle, as I talked about.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I think it's seeing this then go out to other people and seeing them and hearing like my clients say things like, "You've changed my life." Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh.
that's beautiful. That feels like a miracle. So I think a miracle is really any time people move from feeling fear to feeling love.
Hmm.
And that's just a shift in perspective. So whenever that
Absolutely.
shift in perspective happens.
A miracle is born. Nice.
Yeah.
So how can people find you? Like, how do you work with clients? Do you do mostly one-on-one? Do you do groups?
Well, I do one-on-one, and I also have a group program. It's a membership for women, and
Okay.
it's called Wonderful Fine. It's named after, well, it's a Newfoundland expression. So I live in Newfoundland, Canada, and we have a lot of colorful language and culture here. So when something is really good, it's called Wonderful Fine. So that's what I decided to call this program. So it's an anti-inflammatory living. I do mind and body work in that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's a membership program. So, yeah, people can find me at janehoganhealth.com and see my programs there. And I got different free things on my website. And I always have something going on. Like I got a challenge coming up, not a challenge, but a master class coming up. I got, different things. I'm always creating different things.
Oh, wonderful. So we can all find that information on your website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. And do you have any free offering on your website for people to like
I
learn
do.
more?
The one that's right at the front now it's called Three Ways to Calm Inflammation While Eating. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
about, yeah, it's about really our digestion starts in our brain. So it's about mindful eating. And when we do this, a lot of us don't realize that we're eating in a very stressed state, and then we
Mm-hmm.
don't digest very well. And then that leads to gut problems, which then triggers the immune system, causes
Right.
inflammation and all that. So a very simple thing people can do right away is change how they eat. So that's what it's all about. So um, I can give you the link and
Yeah.
you can share it with your listeners.
Yeah. I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jane. This is such a beautiful conversation. I loved learning about your story and how you've overcome illness and gotten to a path of wellness and sharing that knowledge with the public. It's so powerful. I appreciate you so much.
Corrine, thanks so much for having me here. And I love the whole idea of your podcast. And I know that
Thank you.
you're sharing love in the world that's a miracle.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, have a great day. Thank you so much.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and tune in on Tuesdays for new episodes. For more information about me, please follow me on Instagram at Corinne J. Camara and my website, CorinneCamara.com. Sending you lots of infinite love.